How's it going, everyone? College Lefty, and in this video I'm going to be going over the worst Signature Series players in MLB The Show 19. Now, before I get into this video, I don't want to offend anybody. I want to talk a little bit about why I put these cards in this video. First things first, I don't think any of these cards are bad in the game. I think that all of them are usable and effective in some way or another. I don't want you guys to think if you have these players on your ranked seasons team that you have a bad team or anything like that. I face a lot of these players all the time, and oftentimes some people with more of a budget team beat me more often than some people that have a God Squad, for example. But that's just something that I wanted to include. To start this video off, I think that one of the worst players, or one of the worst Signature Series players in MLB The Show 19 is Luis Aparicio. I definitely think that this card can be used. I mean, he has great contact, great vision, low power, good fielding, and maxed out speed. You're probably thinking to yourself, how can a double diamond player be bad? I just don't think that this card is that great compared to other players at the position. I think that that's a big factor in a lot of these players, as well as I have a lot of pitchers on this list. I think that Catfish Hunter is probably the worst Signature Series pitcher in the game, and he's at a 95 overall. I think that at times, sure, you're going to be able to pitch well with this guy, and he's going to have some good games for you, but overall, I think that there are much better options at starting pitcher in terms of Signature Series players and even players that aren't Signature Series. I think that that's also a factor in this. Some players are a little bit lower overall, like we see this Rick Ankiel right here, 88 overall. None of these players are in any particular order. I just wanted to kind of include players in a certain way that I think that aren't necessarily the best cards in the game. I think that the reason why Rick Ankiel is not a good Signature Series player is because of his walks per nine. Straight up, his control is bad. Now, on the flip side of that, a pitcher that has better control is also, in my opinion, one of the worst Signature Series players in the game. I don't think Bartolo Colon is horrible at all. I think that there are much better players at this position that have higher per nines, that also have the same speed differential, a similar repertoire. I've used this Tommy John as well. I've used both the Bartolo Colon and the Tommy John. I've never faced Catfish Hunter. I've never used that card. I never will use that card. Just not a card that I'm going to try out. He's not a new legend or anything like that. We see Tommy John and Bartolo Colon, two newer players that got Signature Series cards or boosted cards. I had to go ahead and try them out. But a player like Bill Mazeroski, I have not tried this card out either. I've only faced him a handful of times at the beginning of the game cycle. He was released at the beginning of the game cycle, which also helped his value then. But with all these cards out now and in the moment that I'm doing this video, I think that he's one of the worst cards, very similar to Aubrey Huff. I don't see this card used anymore. He was kind of used as a lefty third baseman early on, but with all the third basemen that they've released now, with better fielding, better hitting stats, higher contact power and vision, all of the above, as well as now with Chipper Jones, I mean, stuff like that. I think that those cards come into play here. And yeah, there's some of the more elite cards in the game, but I think simply grinding out cards like, for example, Tony Gwynn is way better than this Alex Gordon. This Alex Gordon was a World Series reward early on in the game. I just don't think that some of these cards are as good as some of the other cards that we have in the game at 99 overalls, at cards that you can just grind out for free. But I also have some 99 overalls and some higher overalls in this video. Another card that, I mean, is going for a ton of stubs on the market, a 12-0 Battle Royale, a flawless reward earlier on. I don't think this Michael Young's very good, though. I don't think I've faced him that often. The times that I have faced him, he's done well against me most of the time because the players that have him have gone 12-0. They're also really good players at the game. This card was just recently released into the Signature Team Moments. I've only tried him out for one game, but I don't think that Pee Wee Reese is the move. I think that there are much better shortstops that you can get for much cheaper, or I mean a good price on the market. Obviously this card's a free card, so can't get any cheaper than that. But I mean, in terms of time, it takes a lot of time to get this card. You do have to get him for the series of those Signature Team Moments. But another card that I thought was pretty good when he first came out, Adam Jones, I don't think is very good anymore. I mean, just pretty slow in the outfield at 75 speed. I think with a lot of these other outfielders and with the amount of outfielders that we have, the depth and everything at the position, I think that Adam Jones is probably a lower tier player. I'd rather use Ichiro, someone like that, doesn't have as much power. A person that might come as a surprise on this list is Bob Gibson. The reason why I have Bob Gibson in this on this list is because I notice a lot of people don't like him. A lot of people struggle using this card. I think the main reason why he's not as good as he was in last year's game is simply because of the way he throws. I mean, this card was much better for me than Kershaw in last year's game, and now Kershaw is definitely the best pitcher in this year's game. So just the meta changes. Some things that are different in last year's game aren't the same in this year's game, obviously. But another pitcher that's a 99 overall, Justin Verlander. I'll include my stats with him as well as a couple other pitchers. I don't really have too many of my stats included on these players. But, I mean, I'm a Tigers fan, so my team bias is completely out of this. I was really excited to use Verlander. He was dominant in MLB The Show 17, and I believe he was dominant in MLB The Show 16 as well. Maybe that's the game I'm thinking about. But, I mean, he's been dominant in years past. But this year's he gets rocked. I mean, 14 wins. Some of those have probably come in conquest. I just think that he's kept me in some games for the most part. I picked him for the program. I was using him quite a bit. But another player that is one of the best relievers in the game. No question about it. On paper, one of the best relievers. I did not pitch well with this card. That's the reason why he's on this list. In my opinion, I think he's one of the worst Signature Series relievers that we have. I know a lot of other people that dominate with this card. I use them against you guys in viewer games. You guys lit me up with them. And I expect to get lit up anyways from people that watch the content and watch my videos and stuff like that. You guys are always really good at the game. But I just was not impressed with this Dennis Eckersley. I know his price has gone up. And he wasn't really that bad. Like, only lost a couple games with him. But the 5 ERA from a reliever is really what stuck out. I have a lot of other pitchers that I'm using that have much lower ERAs and perform much better for me. Another card I wanted to include is Travis Hafner. This card hits a home run literally every time against me. People that use him generally are very good with him. However, I don't think that this card's very good. For me, I really struggled hitting with him. He has low fielding. I would much rather use other first basemen. I would probably rather use this Keith Hernandez, even though I have him on the list as well. I just seem to line out with this card. He's a much better fielder and the best defender at first base that we have in the game, but I don't think that has enough value. I mean, Frank Thomas plays well for a common fielder. I'm not too sure about Travis Hafner. I haven't really used him too much over there, but in terms of hitting, I would just go with Frank Thomas, Lou Gehrig, or that Jeff Bagwell that was just released. Another 99 on the list is Minnie Minoso. I definitely think that this card is decent, but with players out there in left field like Ricky Henderson, you have Ty Cobb, you have Ken Griffey that can play there, you have all these other outfielders that can play a variety of these outfield positions. I guess the thing that gives this card a little bit more value is that he plays third base, but I don't think it's enough because he doesn't really have the most power. He is kind of fast. He does have some good contact and vision. But I mean, for example, another reason why I wanted to include Larry Doby is the same factor I just talked about Minnie Minoso. There's just so many other outfielders, so many left-handed bats in the outfield as well. I just don't think that this card is as good as Duke Snider, who's a free option from just grinding out the game. But I did face this card a good amount of times early on in the game cycle. But I did want to talk a little bit about what I have to do upcoming here. I have to finish up the signature team moments. They are going to release a new player coming up here in a couple days, probably a live stream along with that. We will have the schedule updated in the game as well, so look for that included in the game. But I also have some World Series rewards. I wanted to go over some of this. I don't know if you guys noticed, there are new rewards for ranked seasons. I did make a video on Chipper Jones being the World Series reward, but that was actually before they posted some of these rewards. So there are some other players included, including 2 new diamond cards that you guys probably already know about, but I just wanted to talk about them in this video as well. I thought about putting one of them in this video just because I haven't tried him. He doesn't really fit the meta of the game, and I think that because he also plays outfield, there are some other choices that you can go with. But at the same time, guys, I just want to let you know that I hope I didn't offend anybody in this video. I wanted to just talk about some of the Signature Series players that I didn't think were as good as some of the other ones. I did a video on the top Signature Series players in the game. I also did a tier list video on kind of some of the Signature Series players that were released at the time and kind of rank them in a tier list. So hopefully it's more in depth with some of these types of videos. It clarifies some things and lets you know exactly why I rank these guys how I did. And in this video, I didn't really put them in any specific order. I kind of just put the worst players that I thought. And like I mentioned earlier, a lot of these players I included in the video, when I do face them, on the rare occasion that I do, they always perform really well against me. So they're not bad cards. And I mean, I guess sometimes I'm just bad with the players as well. I don't want to take anything out of it, but I did pick the Jay Buhner, even though I don't think that he's going to be all that great either. I wanted to make this video for you guys, so hopefully you enjoyed it. And I will be trying to play some ranked seasons, pursuing that Chipper Jones, and trying to get that gameplay out for you guys. I know I have a lot of games to play. I'm also going to be trying to play the signature team moment, like I mentioned. But until next time, everyone, I'm College Lefty, and peace out.